Okay, so let's get started. We will start today again in child's pose, the same as we did last week. So let's just come onto all fours here. Step the knees so that they're a little wider than hip width distance apart, and then sinking the buttocks down to the heels, softening the chest down to the floor, reaching the arms forward, and then allowing the body to just soften down. So just taking a few moments here to settle into the practice, to settle into your space. Becoming aware of the breath. So noticing as we inhale that we send the breath down into the belly. Feeling the belly expanding, perhaps pushing out against the thighs. And then exhaling, feeling the lower back softening and melting down towards the floor. So just sinking, softening here. Really feeling whatever is beneath you. So perhaps it's a yoga mat, the carpet, the floor. Taking the time to notice the sensations of your body connecting into the floor. Feeling what's underneath your fingertips. Feeling the points of connection through your legs, your feet. And all the while aiming to soften a little further with each exhalation. Just giving yourself permission to leave any thoughts behind you. Aiming to just use this time to come into your body, to notice the sensations of the body. Knowing that any thoughts, any worries, any things you still need to do will still be there in an hour's time, and that we'll be able to pick them up at the end of this practice. But for now, working on putting them down, bringing the awareness in to this moment, to this class, into your body. And then from here, gently releasing the arms, so allowing them to soften down into the floor, bringing the palms of the hands together and perhaps walking the elbows a little closer in towards the head, allowing the elbows to rest down comfortably on the floor. And then once the hands are together, gently aiming to take the fingertips up towards the sky. So elbows stay connected with the floor, and perhaps you'll feel a gentle stretch here through the shoulder. Remembering to listen to your body, to work within the limits of your body, to notice the difference between pain and stretching. So we're aiming perhaps for some stretching sensations, perhaps some mild discomfort, but we always want to step back from pain. So if any posture, any position at any point causes you pain, I would encourage you to listen to that and to gently ease yourself, perhaps out of a posture altogether, but it may just be to gently back off to reduce the intensity. Releasing the hands back down to the floor, bringing the palms of the hands back to the floor, inhaling as we lift ourselves back into tabletop. Let's do a couple of rounds here of cat-cow. So pushing away through the spine, tucking the tailbone under, looking to the belly button, and releasing, sinking the belly down, looking forward. And once more to in each direction. So pushing the back of the body away, looking to the belly button, really aiming to arch through the spine, tucking the chin so that we even feel a stretch through the neck. And once more releasing, sending the belly down towards the floor, looking up, really pushing down into the hands, feeling the stretch and the opening here through the chest. And releasing, just shaking to each side. So working some sideways movement here into the spine, and then coming back to center, finding our way up into down dog. So tucking the toes under, and then aiming to push the tailbone up into the sky. So keep the knees bent here for now. we're pushing down into the hands, making sure that we're still pushing the weight back towards the feet. So we're aiming not to have the weight of the body over the hands. We push into the hands and sending the weight back, stretching, lengthening through the spine, and then maybe we're working towards straightening through the knees. They don't have to be straight. We can have as big or small a bend in the knees as you would like, pedaling through the legs here. And then coming back to center, pushing the heels down to the floor, looking to the hands, and then let's slowly walk the feet to the hands. Pausing here, just dangling down. So we're aiming to allow the head and the neck to soften gently, to relax through the arms. Feeling that stretch through the backs of the legs. And then gently rolling the body up. So starting by tucking the tailbone under, stacking one vertebra on top of the next. And then coming all the way up to standing, rolling through the shoulders. And then back the other way. And then let's roll the spine back down again. So making sure that we're standing nice and tall, dropping the chin down to the chest, just pausing here for a moment, seeing if you can feel a stretch through the back of the neck. And then winding yourself back down. So leaving the arms soft and long, releasing one vertebra at a time as we slowly roll the body down. Leaving the pelvis in a neutral position until we've unwound as far as we can, and then seeing if you can release through the pelvis. Again, just allowing the arms to dangle down. You might like to take hold of the elbows and gently swaying from side to side. Working your way back to center, just allowing yourself to dangle here for a moment longer. Seeing if you can really work to extend through the backs of the legs, pushing the tailbone up into the sky, feeling how perhaps that helps you soften a little closer down to the floor with the forearms. And then once more, releasing the forearms, tucking the tailbone under, so bringing the pelvis back towards a neutral position, and then working to stack one vertebra on top of the next as we roll the body back up. Working your way back up, having a nice shake out, and then bringing the hands to the shoulders, making big circles with the elbows. So making those circles as big as you can, first in one direction, and then let's go back the other way. So seeing if you can bring the elbows to touch as they come in front of you, and then opening through the chest as the elbows go back behind you. And then releasing down, bringing the arms up overhead. Let's have a nice big stretch out. So coming up onto the balls of the feet, so onto your tippy toes, stretching and lengthening up, seeing if you can reach the ceiling, walking around on your mat, rotating a bit through the wrists as we walk around, just getting some movement into the body here. Stepping down onto flat feet, just leaving the feet about hip width distance apart, and then taking hold of your left wrist, leaning over to the right, finding a stretch through the right side of the body. Inhaling, lifting up, taking hold of the opposite wrist, leaning over to the right. So again, having as much or as little movement as you need here, aiming to find a bit of a stretch through the right side of the body. Inhaling, lifting up, once more swapping over, so leaning over to the right, finding the stretch through the left. Inhaling, lifting, last time, exhaling, softening over. Inhaling, lifting up, exhaling, releasing the hands down. Once more, let's circle through the shoulders. And then let's step the feet apart. So bringing the feet a comfortable distance apart. Ideally, the ankles are centered below the wrists when we bring the wrists out or the arms out to the side, but that may not be where you're at. That's absolutely okay. From here, inhaling, exhaling, let's fold the body forward, aiming to pause at halfway, checking in, having a look at your arms, aiming to have them at approximately shoulder height. So making sure that the arms are not flying away, they're not drooping down to the floor, approximately at shoulder height, looking forward, and then seeing if we can bring the arms out in front of you. Keeping that strength through the core, releasing back to the side. Once more, extending the arms out, back to the side, and then softening the body down. Pausing here for a moment, you might like to gently sway backwards and forwards. So the entire length of the foot stays down on the floor, toes stay down, heels stay down. We just gently shift the weight backwards and forwards. And then finding center. So aiming to have the weight evenly distributed between the heels and the fronts of the feet, and then bringing the hands to the forearms. Gently pulsing through the upper body. Noticing how that helps to tease out through the backs of the legs. And then let's pulse the forearms over towards the right. Observing how that changes the stretch through the body. Working our way back to center and then over to the left. Working our way back to center and then once more to each side. So coming over to the first side. Working our way back to center and then over to the left. And then coming back to center once more, just pausing here and then allowing the hands to soften down towards the floor. The hands may not reach the floor, that's okay. Just letting go of that grip on the elbows, allowing yourself to pause here, feeling where you feel the effect of gravity. So aiming to soften through the head, through the neck, through the shoulders, feeling gravity pulling or drawing your head down in the direction of the floor. Perhaps you can also feel some release through the back. And then from here, let's aim to bring the hands down to the floor. So you might be able to bend through the knees. And then gently sending the toes out towards the right. And then, so creating a 45-degree angle with the toes, walking the hands over towards the right, bending through the knee and finding that stretch through the thigh, through the inner thigh here. Releasing, working your way back to center, returning the toes back to center, and then working over to the opposite side. So this time angling the left toes out, bending through the knee, walking the hands over towards the foot and softening the body down. Aiming to keep the entire length of the right foot connected down into the floor. And then working our way back up to center once more. Just softening the head and the neck down. And then let's heel and toe the feet until they come back underneath the hips. So feet are about hip width apart, and then once more we will roll the body up. So tucking the tailbone under, stacking one vertebra on top of the next, coming all the way up to standing once more, and again having a nice shake out. Let's come into some helicopter swings. So again, keeping the feet about hip width distance apart, bringing the hands parallel in front of you, and then swing the arms back behind you. Taking this gently, working the arms up towards shoulder height, and then sweeping the arms up towards the sky. So you can always slow this movement down if you need to. Otherwise, working with the momentum of the body, getting that movement into the spine, working the arms back down to shoulder height, sweeping the hands back down to hip height, and then allowing the hands to gently come to rest by your side. When they do, let's step the feet together, allowing the eyes to close, just pausing for a moment in Tadasana, the pose of the mountain. So let's push the feet firmly down into the floor. Feel the crown of the head, the very center of your head, lifting up into the sky. So making sure that the chin is not lifted into the sky, the head is nicely centered on the neck. The back of the neck feels long, softening and releasing through the shoulders, feeling the shoulder blades traveling down the back of the body, feeling open through the chest. The front lower ribs draw down or back towards the back of the body. Core is just lightly engaged, just maybe 10% engaged. And then taking a moment, pausing, feeling the feet sinking down into the floor, feeling the crown of the head magnetically lifting up into the sky. And then gently releasing, blinking the eyes open. Once more, having a nice shake out, that just helps us reset the body. Let's come down onto the knees. So if you have a blanket or some extra padding and you would like some extra padding underneath the knees, if you're working with a yoga mat, you can fold the yoga mat over. So coming down onto the knees, and then let's extend forward through the right leg, bringing the foot just in front of the knee, and then bringing the hands over the knee just to support the knee. We're not aiming to push the weight down into the knee. Our body weight stays centered over the hips. So let's inhale, exhaling, aiming to sink down into a lunge. Again, body weight stays centered over the hips. We're not leaning forward. The hands are here simply to support the knee joint. So we're not actually putting any pressure or weight into the knee. Seeing if we can soften here. And then inhaling, lifting up. Seeing if we can straighten through that front leg, bringing the toes up towards the body. Inhaling, exhaling, seeing if we can fold the body forward. You might be able to reach down to the floor. Feeling that stretch through the hip, perhaps through the back of the leg. And then inhaling, lifting the body up, bringing the foot back down to the floor. Again, hands return to the knee, inhaling, exhaling, sinking the body down. Making sure that the hips are square forward, that we're not opening to the side with the hips. And then if you would like to, you can see if you can lift that back leg off the floor. You might be able to reach around, taking hold of the foot with one hand, and maybe even with two hands. If that's not achievable, that's absolutely okay. You can either practice just lifting that foot off the floor or leave it down on the floor and focus on sinking into the lunge. Releasing the back leg down, returning the hands to the knee, and then inhaling, lifting up. Once more, let's straighten through the front leg, aiming to lift the toes off the floor, folding the body forward. And then seeing if you can really work to draw that right hip back behind you. Releasing the foot back down, returning the hands to the knee. Inhaling, lifting up. And then let's swap sides. So this time, let's extend our left leg forward. Again, making sure that as we sink down, we're not opening through the hips. So hips stay centered. Hands support the knee, inhaling, exhaling, sinking down. Just lifting the hands off the knee for a moment, making sure that we don't have any weight through the hands. Inhaling, exhaling, seeing if you can soften a little further. And then let's inhale, lifting up, straightening through the front leg, toes lift off the floor. Exhaling, folding the body forward. And again, if we want a little further, a little more in this stretch, we can think about pulling that left hip behind you. Taking a moment, observing the sensations through the body. Releasing the foot back down to the floor, inhaling, lifting up, returning the hands to the knee. Inhaling, Exhaling as we sink the body down. Breathing here. Softening. Checking in with your shoulders, with your neck and the jaw, making sure we're not carrying any extra tension, any unnecessary tension here. So releasing through the jaw, making sure we're not clenching the teeth, perhaps even smiling. And then inhaling, lifting up, drawing the toes off the floor, exhaling, folding the body forward. Really working to pull those toes up towards the body, feeling that stretch through the back of the leg. Releasing the foot down, hands coming back to the knee, exhaling, sinking forward, and this time let's lift through that back leg. So seeing if we can lift it off the floor. If you have it off the floor, seeing if you can reach around with one hand, and maybe we can reach around with two hands. Seeing if we can then melt down towards the floor, checking in with the hips, making sure the hips are still facing forward, that we're not splaying open to the side. And then releasing that back leg down if it is up. Inhaling, lifting up. Let's work once more with this stretch here. So lifting the toes off the floor, sinking the body forward. And then releasing. So returning that foot down to the floor, bringing the leg back in, lengthening out your mat. And then let's take a moment to roll down onto the back of the body. So lying yourself down. And from here, let's come into a variation of pigeon pose. So bringing your ankle over the knee. So starting by lifting through the right leg. So right ankle comes over the left knee, lifting the left leg off the floor, and then reaching through to take hold of the back of the left leg. If you can comfortably do so, ideally we want to bring the head back down to the floor. If that's not achievable for you and you have a towel or a strap belt handy, you can always loop that around the back of your leg and hold on to that belt or towel so that you can bring the head back down to the floor. From here, aiming to draw that left knee towards the body and gently pushing away through the right knee. You might like to keep a little bit of flexion, of activation through the right foot. That just helps to protect the knee. So if there is any pain through the knee, work to flex that foot, or you may need to gently soften off. So you might be able to just ease slightly out of the stretch and still feel something without that pain, or if you have pain, then coming out of the stretch altogether. Taking a couple more breaths here. And then gently releasing through the left leg, unwrapping the right leg. Let's plant the feet firmly on the floor and then inhaling, lifting the pelvis, peeling the spine off the floor. Lifting the pelvis up as high as you can and then rolling back down. And then let's work with the opposite side. So this time, the lifting through the left leg, bringing the left ankle over the right knee, and then working to lift through the right leg, reaching through, taking hold of the back of the right leg. You can soften and relax through the right foot if you like, perhaps keeping that gentle flexion through the left foot, and then working to draw the right knee towards you and gently pushing away through the left knee. Just allowing the eyes to close here. Aiming to take the awareness into the stretch, into the sensations of the body. Seeing if you can soften a little further with each exhalation. So aiming to release, to let go of tension with each exhalation. And then slowly releasing that right leg back down to the floor, unwrapping the left foot. Once more, let's peel the body up off the ground. So inhaling, lifting through the pelvis, peeling the spine up. And then working as slowly as you can to lower yourself back down. So imagining that we are lowering one vertebra at a time. Really working to scoop in through the belly. Moving slowly. And then finding a neutral spine. From here, let's just bring the arms out to shoulder height and then flop the knees from one side to the other side. Drawing the knees back up to center, hugging the knees into the chest, taking the feet up overhead, engaging the core, and slowly with control, let's lower the heels of the feet down to the floor. So keeping the engagement through the core as we release the feet down to the floor. From here, there's two options of how we can come into sitting, either bringing the hands over the heart, lifting the head, looking to the toes, or bringing the hands flat to the floor underneath the lower back. From either position, we push into the hands, engaging the core, looking to the toes, and inhaling and lifting to sit up. From here, let's come into a comfortable seated position. So ideally sitting with the legs crossed, otherwise if you prefer, sitting with the legs extended. If you would like to, you can always bring some padding underneath the sitting bones. That'll help just to lift the pelvis up a little higher than the knees, which will make it a bit easier to maintain this position. From here, let's work our way into Yoga Mudra. So bringing the backs of the hands over the knees, bringing the forefinger into the pad of the thumb, so creating a circle between the thumb and the forefinger. Remaining three fingers are outstretched and together, allowing the eyes to close. And just pausing here for a moment. Anchoring yourself into this moment, into the body. Feeling the sitting bones firmly grounded down into the floor. Feeling the length through the spine. Feeling the crown of the head, the center of the head, lifting up into the sky. And then when you are ready, either working with the eyes closed, or if you would like to, you can blink the eyes open so that you can follow along with me. We inhale, sweeping the arms back in line with the hips, drawing the arms up to shoulder height and softening through the wrists and the elbows. Exhaling, folding the body forward, crossing the wrists over the lower back, bowing the forehead down towards the floor. As we bow this first time in respect for self, just taking a moment to acknowledge that you are doing the best you can. Often we beat ourselves up, we tell ourselves we should be doing more, we should be doing better, but just pausing to reflect on this moment as it is and know that you are doing the best that you can in this moment. Pausing in respect for self. Inhaling, lifting the body up, bringing the arms out to shoulder height, softening through the wrists and the elbows. And then exhaling, releasing the hands down in line with the hips, sweeping the arms forward, bringing the backs of the hands to rest over the knees. Pausing with the eyes closed if they're not already closed. And just returning the awareness into the breath. Working a second time. So inhaling, sweeping the arms back in line with the hips, drawing them up to shoulder height, softening through the wrists and the elbows. Exhaling, folding the body forward, crossing the wrists over the lower back, bowing the forehead down towards the floor. And bowing this second time in respect for others. Pausing to acknowledge that others also are doing the best they can. That we may experience tension, friction, as well as joy with those around us. That through challenges and obstacles with others, we in fact grow and become the best versions of ourselves. And that without these tensions, without these frictions, we wouldn't grow to the same degree. So bowing in respect for others. Inhaling, lifting the body up, bringing the arms out to shoulder height, softening through the wrists and the elbows. Exhaling, folding, releasing rather, the hands down to the hips, sweeping the arms forward and bringing the backs of the hands to rest over the knees, keeping the eyes closed, becoming aware of the breath. And then preparing to work a third and final time. So inhaling, sweeping the arms back in line with the hips, drawing them up to shoulder height, softening through the wrists and the elbows. Exhaling, folding the body forward, crossing the wrists over the lower back, bowing the forehead down towards the floor. Pausing this third and final time in respect for all that is. Acknowledging the interconnection between each and every one of us. So for a moment, draw lines of light from yourself to everybody in your world. Friends, family, acquaintances. People you've had contact with today. Perhaps people who've popped into your thoughts today, although you may not have seen or spoken to them for a while. And then from those people, extend lines of light from them to everybody in their world. And continue on and on until you have an entire globe covered with lines of light. Inhaling, lifting the body up, bringing the arms out to shoulder height, softening through the wrists and the elbows. Exhaling, releasing the hands down in line with the hips, sweeping the arms forward and bringing the backs of the hands to rest over the knees. Allowing the eyes to close and then softening through the elbows, releasing the fingers, and just allowing the backs of the hands to rest comfortably over the knees, allowing the fingers to soften. And just pausing for a moment here. Perhaps observing a sense of stillness. Watching the breath as it travels in and out. And then gently blinking the eyes open, extending through the legs, taking a moment to point and flex through the feet, perhaps having a bit of a rub through the thighs, maybe the knees, wherever needs a little extra TLC. And then from here, let's come into our straight leg spine twist. So let's leave the left leg extended, bending through the right knee, and then bringing the right foot to the other side of the leg. Lifting up through the spine, cupping the hands by the hips, so fingers point in towards the hips, and then turning to look out to the left. We inhale, bringing the left arm up to shoulder height, exhaling, sweeping the arm, wrapping it around the knee, and then turning to look out to the right. Inhaling, right arm comes up to shoulder height, exhaling, sweeping the arm back behind you, and then drawing that hand down to the floor in line with the spine. Inhaling, lifting and lengthening, Exhaling, twisting, continuing to look back behind you, keeping some gentle engagement through that left foot, the left leg that's extended out. Working with each inhalation to lift a little higher and exhaling, twisting. Exhaling, returning the head back to center, releasing the hands back to starting position, just allowing the eyes to close. Inhaling a nice deep breath, imagining that we are drawing it from the base of the spine up into the crown of the head. And then exhaling, sweeping that breath out through the body. Blinking the eyes open, unwrapping the leg, and then let's work with the opposite side. So this time, bending through the left leg, leaving the right leg extended, bringing that foot over to the other side of the knee, lifting up nice and tall through the spine, feeling the hip or the sitting bones anchoring really firmly down into the floor, and then turning to look out to the right. We inhale, bringing the right arm up to shoulder height, exhaling, sweeping the arm around you and looking out to the left. We inhale, left arm comes up to shoulder height, exhaling, sweeping the arm back behind you, and then aiming to draw that hand down to the floor in line with the spine. Lifting through the spine, exhaling, turning to look back behind you. Breathing deeply here. Visualizing the twist running through your spine from the base of the spine all the way up into the crown of the head. And then releasing the head back to center, releasing the hands back to starting position, allowing the eyes to close once more. And then inhaling, drawing the breath once again from the base of the spine up into the crown of the head. And then exhaling, sweeping that breath out through the body. Gently blinking the eyes open, unwrapping the legs, and then coming to lie yourself down on the back of the body. Taking a moment to just hug the knees into the chest. You might like to bring the hands over the knees and then making small circles with the knees, first in one direction and then back the other way. Finding center, and then from here, let's work with the wedge. So coming into the wedge, we leave the knees over the chest, we bring the hands over the knees, and then running the hands down the legs and bringing the feet flat to the floor as close as we comfortably can to the buttocks. So wherever that is for you is absolutely fine. Hands come down by your side, palms face down, and then we inhale, lifting the pelvis, peeling the spine off the floor. So feet stay firmly anchored on the floor. We don't walk the feet around anywhere. Lifting up onto the balls of the feet so that you can lift a little higher through the pelvis. And then if you feel comfortable, we can bring the hands in underneath the body, interlacing the fingers, squeezing the shoulder blades together, ideally in one smooth movement, so that we can lift a little higher off the floor. And then bringing the hands to support underneath the lower back. If you are comfortable and there's no tension in the lower back, you can bring the heels of the feet down to the floor. Otherwise, if this is not comfortable, we stay up on the balls of the feet. Inhaling deeply, drawing the breath down into the belly. Exhaling, allowing the belly to soften. Keeping that height through the hips. And then just checking in with the knees. So making sure that the knees are not splaying out to the side, aiming to have those thighs pointing straight, parallel with each other. And then bringing the awareness back into the breath. So sending the breath down into the belly. Exhaling and softening. To release out of this position, we come back onto the balls of the feet, bringing the hands back down to the floor, heels come back to the floor, and then slowly unwinding the spine. Releasing one vertebra at a time back down to the floor. And then hugging the knees into the chest. Squeezing the knees in for a moment, pausing here. And then releasing. Hands return back down to the floor, feet come up into the sky, engaging the core, and slowly with control, lowering the heels down to the floor. Just pausing for a moment, turning the palms of the hands to face up towards the sky, allowing the eyes to softly close. Breathing down into the belly. Noticing perhaps that after that posture, the breath flows a little more easily, a little more naturally down into the belly. And then let's work our way up into a seated position. So once more, either we bring the hands over the heart or bringing the hands flat to the floor underneath the lower back. From either position, lifting the head, engaging the core, pushing into the hands or pushing the hands down into the floor. Inhaling, lifting to sit up. From here, coming into our forward fold, Paschimottanasana or creative power pose. So pulling the padding out from underneath the sitting bones. If you would like to, grabbing that blanket and popping it underneath you. And then lifting yourself up. So stretching and lengthening through the spine. And then cupping the hands by the hips. We inhale, circling the arms up overhead, reaching and lifting up. Exhaling, folding the body forward, taking a hold of the legs anywhere between the knees and the toes. Inhaling, lifting and lengthening through the spine. Exhaling, extending the heart out to the toes. Lengthening through the neck, breathing deeply. And then extending the fingertips out towards the toes, bringing the arms alongside the ears, engaging the core, inhaling, lifting the body up. Exhaling, circling the arms down, drawing the knees in, interlacing the fingers around the knees, pausing with the eyes closed. Aiming to balance here with the feet off the floor. And then blinking the eyes open, bringing the feet back down to the floor. Let's take the hands back behind you and just flopping the knees from one side to the other side. Bringing the knees back to center, and then let's come to lie down on the front of the body. So lying yourself down, there's an ant here directly underneath me. There we go. So lying yourself down, and then today, let's work with the grasshopper. So making sure that your spine feels long. So you might like to use the legs, shifting them back behind you a little further to help you lengthen out through the spine. And then let's draw the hands underneath the thighs. Tucking the chin under so that the forehead comes flat to the floor. And then inhaling, lifting the head, lifting through the chest. So chest lifts off the floor, and then lifting the legs off the floor. So pushing the hands into the thighs to help us lift, creating a gentle squeeze through the lower back, working with our willpower and determination here in this position. Looking forward, seeing if you can lift a little higher. And then exhaling, softening the body down, turning the head to one side, just allowing the eyes to close. And then blinking the eyes open. Let's work once more with that one. So tucking the chin under, forehead comes flat to the floor, drawing the shoulder blades back and down. So shoulders are lifting off the floor. And then we inhale, lifting through the head, lifting through the chest, lifting the legs. Feeling strong, determined, centered, grounded. Inhaling, lifting. Exhaling, softening down. Gently releasing the arms out from under you, turning the head to one side, pausing for a moment, just allowing the eyes to close. And then blinking the eyes open. Let's work with either cobra or sphinx, whichever variation you feel comfortable with. So forearms come down to the floor. Again, just checking in, making sure that the spine feels long before we begin. Forearms are on the floor, hands are just on the outside of the shoulders. And if we have any back injuries, lower back in particular, you might like to work with the sphinx rather than cobra. To work with sphinx, we simply bring the hands one hand's length forward, and as you lift up, you stay down on the forearms. So we never lift above, lift the forearms off the floor. For either position, just aiming to draw the forehead down to the floor, drawing the shoulder blades back and down so that once more our shoulders are lifting off the floor. And then inhaling, lifting, looking forward, lifting through the chest. If you are coming into the full position, we gently push down into the hands, lifting the diaphragm and the belly off the floor, looking forward. So in this position, we keep a slight bend through the elbows, making sure that there is plenty of space between our shoulders and our ears. So we're not sinking down into the position. We are active and strong. So if you cannot lift this high, then rather than sinking through the chest, we want to bend through the elbows. Pelvis stays firmly down on the floor, pushing forward through the heart. Inhaling and then exhaling. Let's lengthen through the spine as you lower down, tucking the chin under, bringing the forehead flat to the floor, turning the palms of the hands up towards the sky, and then turning the head to one side, bringing the heels up towards the buttocks and just allowing the feet to flop from one side to the other side. Releasing through the lower back here, and then bringing the feet back to center, releasing them down to the floor. Let's push into the hands and then pushing yourself back into a wide-legged pose of the child. So this is exactly how we started today. So knees are a little wider than hip width distance apart, buttocks sink back to the heels, walking the arms forward as you sink the body down to the floor. You might like to see if you can walk your hands a little further away from the body and then just gently pushing into the hands, feeling that release through the shoulders. Inhaling, lifting the body up, and then let's come to lie down on the back of the body. So releasing yourself down, bringing the knees up into the chest once more. And then from here, we will work our way into shoulder stand. So we have been working with shoulder stand for the last few weeks. If you would like to work with the variation, you absolutely can. So remembering that our variation is simply to take the feet up into the sky, to bring the hands back behind the head. We inhale, and then exhaling, we lift the chin into the chest. So our aim here is to create a lock or a squeeze through the throat. So that is our variation. If you would like to work with the full shoulder stand, we bring the hands down flat to the floor, palms face down, taking the feet up into the sky, inhaling, and then exhaling, taking the feet back behind you, interlacing the fingers, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then releasing, bringing the hands to support the lower back. And then from here, we gently lift the feet up into the sky. So feeling the feet in either position magnetically lifting up into the sky, And again, from either position, feeling that squeeze through the throat. Breathing here. And then releasing the feet back down behind the head. Bringing the hands back to the floor and then unwinding yourself. So slowly releasing yourself out of either position, unrolling the spine, keeping the core engaged as we slowly lower the feet down to the floor. Pausing here for a moment. And then let's work our way into the fish. So bending through the knees, feet come flat to the floor, lifting through the pelvis, and then interlacing the thumbs underneath the body, squeezing the arms together. So arms are nice and straight under the body, and then lowering yourself back down, unlocking the thumbs so that you're now sitting on flat hands. Remembering here that as we lift up and come into this position, it's really important that we do not turn the head at any point, and also taking this easy or gently if you have any neck or shoulder injuries. So if this position, this posture is not going to work for you, you might like to visualize yourself coming into the position. So from here, if you are working with the physical body, we inhale, pushing down into the elbows. We lift the heart up into the sky and allowing the head to drape back behind you. So again, making sure that we do not turn the head, allowing the head to just dangle down towards the floor. Continue to actively lift the heart up into the sky. Breathing here. And then slowly releasing yourself out of the position. We gently lower down. Again, we do not turn the head. We slowly lift, extending, lengthening through the neck, allowing the head to reach the floor, pushing into the heels of the feet so that we can lift the pelvis slightly and remove the hands out from under you. Gently turning the head from one side to the other side. So lowering one ear and then the other down to the floor. And then pausing in stillness just for a moment. Observing the sensations of the body. And slowly blinking the eyes open. Once more, working our way up into a seated position. So again, hands to the heart or underneath the lower back, engaging the core, inhaling, lifting up, and then coming onto all fours so that we can find our final posture before relaxation, coming to work with the elephant. So tucking the toes under, lifting the tailbone up into the sky, and then looking to the feet, we step the feet to about mat width distance apart. So a comfortable distance apart, aiming to lower the heels of the feet gently down towards the floor. And then just allowing the head and the neck to soften and release. So perhaps shaking your head yes and no, left and right. Just allowing all of the muscles through the neck, through the head to soften, feeling gravity helping your head draw down towards the floor. And then just pausing here. Releasing, so looking to the hands, we step the feet back together, bringing the knees back down to the floor, untucking the toes, sinking the buttocks back down to the heels, and then creating two fists with your hands. Pausing here, resting your forehead on your fists. Just allowing the body to bring the blood pressure back into balance, back into equilibrium. And then gently lifting yourself up when you feel comfortable to do so. And then lying yourself down on the floor. So lying yourself all the way down, I'm seated, but I do encourage you to lie yourselves down so that we can find a comfortable position for relaxation. If you need to, if you've got one handy, pulling a jumper on or a blanket over you, making sure that you do feel nice and warm and comfortable here. And then as you soften the body down into the floor, gently allowing the eyes to close, aiming to, again, lengthen through the spine, feeling the shoulder blades drawing down the back of the body, allowing the palms of the hands to face up towards the sky, and allowing the arms to rest comfortably by your side. So wherever that is comfortable for you, taking up as much or as little space as you like. Your arms might be out at shoulder height, they might be down a little closer to the body, whatever feels good for you in this moment. Softening and releasing through the fingers, just allowing the fingers to curl lightly. Feeling the shoulders melting down towards the floor, feeling yourself opening through the chest. Feeling the belly rising and falling. Softening and releasing through the pelvis. Allowing the buttock muscles and the thighs to soften. Feeling as we soften through the thighs that this helps to just allow the feet to gently flop apart. Drawing the awareness up into the crown of the head. Aiming to soften through the scalp. Allowing the forehead to smooth out. Releasing the point between the eyebrows. And allowing the eyes to sink deeply into their sockets. Softening through the jaw. And then allowing the tongue to rest gently in your mouth. Just allowing yourself to pause here, knowing there's nothing you need to do. Just giving yourself permission to rest gently. Allowing the body to absorb the benefits of your practice today. Allowing yourself to let go of what doesn't serve you, what you no longer need. And then slowly, gently returning the breath back into the body, drawing the breath down into the belly. With your next inhalation, gently wiggling through the fingers and the toes. When you're ready, taking the arms up overhead, having a nice big stretch out, lengthening through the entire body. And then rolling over onto one side, just pausing on the side of the body for a moment, perhaps drawing the knees up towards the chest, perhaps resting gently on the arm, just finding a comfortable position. Blinking the eyes open if they're not already open, connecting in with the world around you. And then slowly coming up to a seated position. So working your way to a comfortable seat. Taking your time, moving slowly, moving gently. And then drawing the hands to the heart. Inhaling deeply. And then as we exhale, bowing the body forward. Bowing, pausing, sending some thoughts of kindness to yourself. And then extending those thoughts out to others. Inhaling, lifting up. And then exhaling, releasing the hands, blinking the eyes open. And namaste, which is the spirit in me respects the spirit in you. Thank you for joining me.